All right, guys. My name is Dr. Sharnael Wolverton-Sehon. I'm with Swiftfire. I am a naturopathic doctor and just wanted to jump in here and just say how excited I am to be a part of your awesome conference. And I love Anthony very much and Dr. Stewart very much. And I know many of you. And for those of you who I don't know, that I hope for all that after you've seen my last two classes that we would know each other better and be able to co-labor, co-mission together to see some exciting things happen with the people that we are helping and bringing service to. And I just really am extremely inspired by all of you getting together and showing up. Leaders show up, and super excited that you guys are taking time to invest in you so you can be the best version of you and help and serve as many people on the planet as possible, because that is why we're here. That's the purpose of what we're doing, is to see what we can do to help help everybody, help many. Without further ado, I am going to teach a little bit in this session on the power of crystals and essential oils together. And I hope that you guys are encouraged and can learn a little bit about this, because I think it's a really hot topic. And it's something that a lot of people can be helped with, and it can actually change some things, including you. And I know, like, with my background in ministry, some of these things seemed really crazy. Even when I got into the essential oils, it seemed a little bit woo-woo for me. And then I started getting and reading Dr. Stewart's book, Healing Oils of the Bible, and realized that in my background ministry, growing up Baptist and being in ministry, going to seminary and Bible school, I had somehow overlooked 1,600 scriptures that refer to essential oils. And same thing when I got into people talking about crystals and stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, here we go at first. But then I started realizing, there's frequency to essential oils, and there's actually science and frequency in crystals. And go figure that God would give us things like plants and rocks and amazing earthly things, here on the planet that can help raise our vibration and help us to find harmony and remember harmony and stabilize and just help us be the best version of us, because we know that we are all frequency. So the most and the highest frequency that we can possibly have is going to give us a better opportunity while we're here to stay in love and to stay in harmony, as opposed to dis-ease. Our goal is to be in ease and grace and love and truth, and we can actually do that, and we can accomplish that through a lot of different ways. Of course, nutrition, raindrop, vitamin D, nature, getting grounded, supplements, getting in the sun, sounds, music, color therapy, tuning forks. We have, oh my gosh, biofield, bioscans. There's so many different opportunities, technologies, natural things that we can jump into and work with in order for us to maintain or to achieve and maintain harmony in our body now. And those of you who are familiar with my biofeedback scans, we have seen many testimonies now where people are, we could take a picture of your aura and get your voice recording and some information from you, and I can analyze that, look at it. We can see what's off just based on your biofield and your sound and your voice, and then we can send frequencies back to you remote. Again, frequency is powerful, and when we can send it even remote, because there's no time and space and frequency, that's kind of cool. So we got remote healing, we got remote viewing, just like when scriptures talked about with the centurion, he sent word and someone was healed. This is how powerful we are. This is where we're at. Crystals and essential oils are no different. It's just our belief system and our belief patterns. And those of you who I don't know which class is going first, but I do a whole class on the science of miracles and, changing the timelines and changing the patterns. And, this class, I'm going to focus more on crystals, essential oils, decrees, and how we can use that in union for us to remember, love, and to stay. So I got involved with crystals because people started talking about all this. And, of course, my old default mindset would be like, oh my gosh, I can't even go there. But of course, guess what? The scriptures support that too. And I found a lot of scriptures that had a lot to do with crystals. And so it kind of got me on path of like, okay, let's look into this a little bit more. And maybe there's more to it and get some understanding. What I found out is, guess who used crystals and wore crystals? The Levites, those who were in full-time ministry. They wore these crystals, 12 to be exact, on their shield or on their in their clothing. And think about it. Those of us who are in service, you guys, people who are in ministry, people who are in any kind of healthcare, counseling, psychiatry, or psychology, any kind of therapy, that takes a tremendous amount of sovereignty, a tremendous amount of energy. And when we're giving, constantly giving, and making, not always replenishing, there are opportunities to allow other people to just kind of suck the life out of us, cancel, clear, and or us to just freely give it away. Because some of our mindsets, I know mine in the past was like, when you're in service 24 hours a day, and you just give, and it doesn't really matter. And there was not a whole lot of balance in the making for that for me personally. So I've learned to kind of, oxygen mask, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and then all these things will be added unto you. And actually having to reprogram my mindset on what service looks like, and how service to self doesn't mean that you're selfish, but it just means that you're having wisdom to know what you can give, because you can't give what you don't have. And so what I love about essential oils is, of course, that's a way where we can replenish our frequency, where we can stay in balance, stay in harmony. And when I started looking at crystals, I'm realizing that here we go with the Levites and the people in ministry who are full on wearing crystals, when they go to work. It's like, there might be something to that. Maybe there's a reason why. And what I found out is each and every crystal actually has its own frequency, just like the essential oils have frequency, like lavender's 118, I believe, peppermint's 98, helichrysum's 157, rose, of course, is 320. There's different frequencies and different kind of purposes specifically to certain kind of crystals, like blue crystals, or those aqua, are more centered towards like throat chakra, voicing your choice. Then there's others that are more for like circulation or bones or stress or ease or mindsets or I don't know, allergies or, sleeping better. I mean, there's those that can help with sovereignty in your biofield. So you're not taking on or letting other people take your energy, just like white angelica or sage would do. There's clearing crystals, So when I was on my research project of like trying to figure out like, well, what oils go with what, and what, of course, we have tons of reference guides out there that we can look up everything alphabetical and get protocols for that. And then I looked into the fact that there's actually crystal protocols for the same kind of similar thing, where you can get a reference guide and look up crystals for certain kind of things. But what I did not find is a book that had both, or any kind of resource that was showing what oils and crystals work together and why and how. And so when I would have someone contact me with a certain issue, of course, I could look up the protocols of each. And then it got to be where I was like, you know what, I need to write this down, because now I know that this works with this and this works with this. So these two together would be like an amazing combination for a really high level kind of extra anchor type thing for the body and for the spirit and for the biofield. And you know, it was time after time after time of just kind of collecting that, where I finally was just like, oh my gosh, you know, there's not a resource out there. So I'm going to have to create a resource where we can just easily look up something and see what works together, and not have to like look at all my notes and my napkins and this email and that text and kind of try to remember everything. So that's how I came up with crystals, oils, and decrees, which there's 80 different cards in here that go into 80 different crystals and what their highest and best companion oils would be to go with that crystal. And then I also power punched it with a decree of some sort that would focus on whatever the situation is. So if it's like voicing your choice, your heart chakra, then of course I would, you know, find some things that had to do with the thyroid and blue crystals. So we got that, and then a decree of like, I voice my choice with ease or whatever. And so we have a whole combination of several things that all work together to keep the sound and keep the vibration of the thyroid, similar to heart, similar to bones, similar to circulation, allergies, whatever. So we can, you know, you can look at these pictures of the cards, and it goes into, I mean, they're all beautiful pictures. And actually, these are all my personal crystals, which is kind of funny because when I made these cards, I wasn't thinking, oh, wow, I'm going to make these cards and they're going to be in everybody's house. I just didn't think of that. But there you go. And I promise you, if you get a card deck at $25 or whatever it is, $29, but they're on sale right now for $24, it's not going to even compare to the actual crystals that I own that probably were around the 20,000, 30,000 mark. But where every crystal that you have on the back, it'll show you what the actual crystal is, what it's good for, how it'll help support you on a physical and biofield level. And then it gives you the companion oils, and it gives you the decree that goes with it. So you can use them like flashcards, but you can also do this because if you're sneaky, you know, we have to be compliant with our essential oils, but we don't necessarily have to do that with crystals. So crystals, if you can kind of put it together, you can read what the crystal does, and you can see what it does, and then you can kind of put it together that if that equals that, then that probably equals that, because they're companions. So it's a sneaky way to learn about essential oils while you are learning about crystals at the same time. Now, we have used these as flashcards just to learn, but you can also do like games or energy things, or just like pick a card, and I can promise you they're always 100%. Like, it's very helpful. And we have tested these cards. You know, I've tested and muscle tested people who had the actual crystal in their hand and got stronger. Take it away, they get weaker. And then we didn't have the crystal necessarily, but we had the card, and we would give the card to the person and we would muscle test them, and they would be just as strong as if they actually had the real crystal, because there's no time and energy. I mean, there's no time and space, and there's, you know, everything is quantum. So it was interesting. What I love about this is travel. You know, you have to carry $20,000 worth of crystals with you everywhere you go. Same thing with the oils. You can put this under your pillow and sleep with it. And it's going to do great things. You can stick it in your pocket, stick it in your purse, carry it with you. You can give it to your kid and stick it in their lunchbox for the day. Let them pick a card and let them have the energy with the decree, and teach your kids, you know, good, cool decrees. But let's go into a little bit about the differences between essential oils and crystals. And let's talk about how they work together, and some of the effects of how it not only works with you on a cellular level, but also in your biofield, and why that makes a difference. And just see, you know, where this goes. We have a little bit of time here to go into it. And we might even get to talk a little bit about clearing and all of that. But so the difference between essential oils and crystals, one of the main things is, as we know, with essential oils, if it stinks to you, that means you need it. That's kind of interesting because, you know, a lot of people, it's just funny. They're like, oh my God, that's gross, but it means your body actually needs it. With crystals, it's not what you're repelled by that you need, but it's like what you're drawn to. So you can either have like a drawing, like physically feeling like this is what I'm feeling, or you can visually see something and it may just be, you know, pleasing to the eye. Like you're just like, I need this. And you just know that you know. I like to shop for crystals at the store personally because I like to actually feel, I can get that feeling somewhat remote, like online or whatever, but there's a lot of fake crystal stuff out there, just like there's fake oil. So I personally like to go to a real crystal store, kind of gauge where my feeler is and feel myself drawn. And it was interesting too, like whether it's a card or an actual crystal, when you pick whatever you pick about based on what you are feeling, it's always so interesting how when you look up to see, well, what does this crystal do? It's always exactly what you required, because your knower knows, and God like created all of this for us. And so I think that's interesting. One thing that you know, we know with essential oils that they can go past the brain barrier and the blood barrier. Of course, crystals are not going to go past the brain barrier. They're not going to go past the blood barrier. They're not going to get in there. This is turquoise. That's not going to go in there. I mean, if it does, that might be ouch. But what it can do is it holds frequency. I love that. It holds frequency. It can record frequency. It is frequency. It holds frequency, and it can record frequency. So what does that matter? Let's break that down a little bit. And by the way, we're using crystals a lot more than we think. You know, at first when I was like, oh my gosh, but really crystals are in your cell phones. Crystals are in your watches. Crystals are in anything with technology, hospital equipment. Crystals are in everything. So there's people are like, oh my God, I'm not using crystals because that's new age. It's like funny because you already are. You just probably just didn't know it. But why crystals are being used so much is because of that whole thing. It is frequency, it holds frequency, and it can record frequency. So what does that look like? It is frequency. Like I said, each of the crystals have a different level frequency, just like the oils do. It holds frequency, meaning there's a pattern to this turquoise. There's a code to it. And when you introduce this pattern to anything chaotic in the biofield, it actually brings a stabilized, harmonized pattern to disrupt the chaos and bring harmony to the biofield. You know, I just think that's amazing, because these are programmed, pattern after, you know, God and its code. This nature, this beautiful piece of rock or crystal actually brings order to chaos just by its being here. Just similar to us as living rocks. Have you ever been around somebody that's just so solid and wise and sovereign and amazing, and they are the ones that, you know, when there's an emergency, that person is always cool, calm, and collective. And when they're around you, there's just like this security or this feeling of just like, oh, I can relax, or oh, I'm calm, versus other people that they're like chaotic and freaky and, you know, amp you up and like trigger you and whatever. So crystals have the ability to bring order just by the patterns of the programs that are in it that bring stability. So I mean, that's just freaking awesome. All nature does that too, by the way. There's sacred geometry in this, or sacred geometry in nature and earth and grass and everything, flowers, all of it. And so sacred geometry is what brings the stabilization to all of that. So that's one thing. So it is frequency. It holds frequency, and it records frequency. Now, what does that mean? Well, that's why they're used in so many different technologies and equipment, because it actually can record frequency. sound. So it has an electric piezo effect. And so when we're coupling them with oils, what's interesting is you put on an oil, it goes in the skin. You may have to relayer those oils with after, 2 or 3 hours. It will dissipate and you'll have to reapply the oils to keep the sound or the frequency up. But if you use an oil and then you have a crystal in your pocket, or you're wearing a crystal, or you have a ring or something, then that is recorded. You record what or program your crystal to do what it wants, and then you're using the essential oils which are in your biofield. It brings a record or recording to the crystal that you're carrying, and so this brings not only an amplification to the oil, but long after the oil is dissipated, the crystal is still holding that sound. So I mean, hello, it's got its own sound, but it actually can record other sounds too. So that is really awesome. And also it can be a downfall because it can record negativity and negative vibrations as well, which is why you have to constantly clear crystals, like, clear and reprogram. They're like pets. You have to take a lot more care of these than you do oils, because oils, you don't have to clear. There's no clearing process. I mean, now they can die if they go through an x-ray machine, but they actually relive themselves, resurrect themselves after 3 or 4 hours and then come back to life. You can see it under live blood where it can die through the x-ray and then come back to life. With crystals, they don't die through an x-ray machine. They keep their recording, but they can pick up negative energy. So if and when you do purchase a crystal, you always want to clear it, because you don't know what's programmed on it. You don't know who's had it, what kind of energy they had, what house it was in, where it was, or what the situation was. And then to bring it in your home, you want to make sure sage it. You can use white angelica, you could diffuse over it, you can just pray over it. There's a lot of different ways to clear, and you can Google all those kind of things. But anyway, it's just interesting. What I also like about crystals, when I'm talking about holding energy, when you're programming it, you can program it with a decree, you can program it with oils and a decree. You can give it a job and be like, you are going to be my stabilizer, you're going to be you're going to give me boldness, or thank you for reminding me of God in me, or whatever. You could just, set your attention to what you want programmed in the crystal, and then it holds that for you. And then if we shift in our energy, just by touching it, feeling it, remembering it, being aware of remembering what it is, it's going to keep the stabilization and harmony within the biofield. Because again, when this is introduced to anything chaotic, it actually brings the harmonization, as long as it's programmed correctly. So whenever I get anything new, I clear it, I program it, and then I keep it in my pocket or put it in my purse. Or like I said, if you don't want to do that, you can use the cards. You don't have to clear the cards. Cards don't need to be cleared. The energy is already there and it stays, and it doesn't necessarily record, but it is on record with text of what it does, and it has the decree that backs up it. So it's kind of pre-loaded, pre-recorded, like a CD. It's set up, ready to go. Just keep the card in your purse or your pocket, or sleep on it, or put it in your backpack, or whatever. So what I also like about these is they're kind of, pet rocks, is a real thing. Pet rocks or pet crystals. But I love them because they're like prayer buddies without an opinion. I think it's kind of funny, but if you program it, and it's going to do its job, and it's going to stay. But many of you, if you have a prayer request, and you may go to someone and then they have their own belief system, it's like they might interact with your prayers with their own fears, or their own worries, or their own ideas. Or maybe you're trying to get a job and they want your job, or you're trying to get a job and they're like, oh, she's never going to get that job. Your rock is not going to have an opinion at all. It's a pet It's a help, it's a support, it's programmed, it has a job, and it has no opinion whatsoever. It's going to be completely objective to whatever's going on with you. So it's just going to do its job. It's not going to be like taking away your energy, or vampiring it out, or giving you any kind of split energy, because it's called to do what it's called to do, which is to bring harmony and balance to the situation or whatever the physical thing is, without taking away, as long as it's clear and as long as it's programmed. So that's kind of why I like crystals, too. Let me see. We did talk about, let's see, pet rocks, crystals, use of them. Oh, you can use them. You can wear them as jewelry. You can put them in your homes. There are certain places that may be better with the whole order of things. Black crystals are really good for sovereignty, protection, kind of Palo Santo, white Angelica type feel of just like keeping your sovereignty. Obsidian, jet, black tourmaline, those kind of things are good. Those are really good to keep outside the house, like in the front door, or right when you walk in. Selenite is a good clearing one too, to put right maybe over a doorstep. There's a lot of different ones. You can put them in dog beds. You can stick them in your plant pots, and it helps the plants to grow. It's been scientifically proven that it helps to keep the plant energized and doing well. There are, let's see, whatever. We talked about the biblical stuff. You can, I guess, put them next to your bed when you're sleeping, for that kind of stuff. You can put them in your car. I really probably have crystals in my windowsill. I have them pretty much in every room of my house, as well as travel with my cards and use my cards on a regular basis. Now, if you're talking about changing patterns up, I mentioned this in my other class, The Science of Miracles, which I go into this book, The Science of Miracles, Remembering the Frequency of Love. In this book and in that class, I'm talking about patterns. And when you have patterns, we all have patterns, and the patterns have a lot to do with alignment of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're talking about, and what's in the biofield. Biofield meaning two, bio means two, and everything, they call it biofield because it's both electric and magnetic. So everything is electric, we're electric, and the biofield is electric, but it's also magnetic because the heart is magnetic, and it's the biggest magnetic generator that we have. So whatever you're feeling is what you're going to pump out, which is going to bring them, it's going to magnetize back to you. So if you have something that helps stabilize the biofield, then what kind of things are you going to collect back? That's the thing. So if you can have order just through a little help of a pet rock and some essential oils, and that helps bring alignment to your mind and your heart, then that's going to change the biofield, bring a harmonization to it, and then you're going to bring in and collect and magnetize new patterns. So crystals are powerful, and they're very, very helpful, and in union with essential oils, and all the other modalities that we have up there, they can really bring a lot of changes to the bodies, to your body. Again, like I said, like a tuning fork, it is frequency, it holds frequency. The difference is it also records frequency. So you can layer your essential oils and anchor those things in, and then you can have a crystal on your body. And I mean, this is recorded. I have a amber that's recorded. I have a different recording for different things, and every now and then I may clear it and record it for something else, or clear it just to make sure things are going on that are for my highest, to have these best patterns. So I think that's about covers it. I actually have a whole membership class on this. If anyone's interested in more, I got like all kinds of information. There's like 135 different posts on different crystals each, and gives a little history of it and what they do. There's 3 or 4 classes on grids and the biblical aspect of it and the science aspect of it, and the spiritual aspect. There's a big one too on the spiritual aspect of it. So but that's something that you guys can maybe jump into if you're interested in further understanding more about crystals. And then of course my card deck. This is a lot of education. There's so much education in these cards. So hopefully you guys will check those things out. And of course my book, The Science of Miracles. But I hope you guys enjoyed my presentation, and I hope we can connect more. If you guys have any questions, hopefully I'll be on the Q&A, and if not, you can put the questions in Facebook, and we will talk more about all of these things. But again, I'm so thankful for even being asked to be here with you guys. I love Anthony, Dr. Stewart, love to all of y'all, and on your endeavors with service and love to the planet and helping it be a better place. And we will talk soon. All right. Bye. Oh, swiftfire.org is my website. My bad. Swiftfire.org. Swift as in quick, fire.org. And you can get access to the cards, the books, the memberships, the classes. I have like lots of other stuff going on there too. And my bioscans. You can get your bioscan there too. So sorry about that. Talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. Bye.